Hey everyone, good evening. This is Lloyd Smucker, Congressman in Pennsylvania's 11th District, which covers Lancaster County and the southern part of York County. I'd like to thank you for joining us this evening for a telephone town hall. We plan to discuss what's going on in Washington, D.C. and in our community. Before we begin, just want to say if you would like to ask a question or make a comment at any time throughout the call, just press *3 on your telephone, and you can do that now. Press *3 on your telephone. What will happen is you'll be connected with a member of my staff who will take your question and then put you in a queue, and we're going to get to as many questions as we possibly can here over the next 60 minutes or so. So again, this is Congressman Lloyd Smucker. I'd like to thank you and welcome you to this telephone town hall. Press *3 on your telephone now if you have a question or a comment. And I repeat myself just a little bit in the beginning. Many of you probably have been on these calls before. We hold them at least once a month. I've held probably close to 40 since I've been honored to be your representative in Washington, D.C. And it's a great time for me to hear what's on your mind. I generally get great comments back from people who've been part of the call and always look forward to it. So I'm looking forward again to our discussion this evening. I repeat myself a little because people are joining us as we talk. So again, thanks for those of you who just joined. This is Lloyd Smucker, Congressman for Pennsylvania's 11th District. We're about to get started on Telephone Town Hall. To ask a question or if you have a comment, you can press *3 on your telephone. You can do that right now, and it connects. The phone will be answered with a member of my staff who will take your question and then put you in the queue. So again, *3 on your telephone if you have a question or comment. So again, thanks for joining us. I want to begin with a brief status update of where we are in our fight against the coronavirus and then in our recovery, rebuilding the economy, restoring the opportunity for everyone to live their American dream. I've been very proud to represent this district. I've been proud of our community's response to COVID-19. I think we have come together. We have shown great strength and resilience in the face of what has been an unprecedented challenge, at least in our lifetimes. And our efforts to mitigate the spread are working in our communities. And as a result of that, we are currently seeing low rates of new cases, low rates of hospitalizations. Again, that's a direct result, I think, of following CDC guidelines and ensuring that we're doing what we can to stop the spread. We can't let up now. The virus is still with us. We know that. So it's critical that we remain vigilant as we continue to respond and as we continue to reopen our economy safely, which we should be doing and are doing. So again, we're thankful that we're seeing some variation in our daily new case rate, but we don't have the extreme and aggressive growth in cases and, frankly, in deaths in our community, which was feared and modeled earlier this year. We had models that were showing it would be far worse in our community than what it is today. Having said that, it's tragic, any death that has occurred, but we're just thankful that we've been able to stop the kind of spread that was possible when we first became aware of COVID-19. As of yesterday, just looking at some of the data, there are at least 20 individuals in York County hospitals receiving treatment, and there are, I believe, 26 individuals in Lancaster County who were admitted and receiving treatment for COVID-19. We pray for their speedy recovery, the recovery of all those receiving treatment. And again, We want to keep that number as low as possible. So it's important that we continue to follow CDC guidelines. We continue to work to slow the spread. Again, if you're just joining us, you can press *3 on your telephone, and it'll connect you with a member of my staff and put you in the queue if you have a question or a comment. I do want to talk as well, and then we'll get to questions, but about the federal response, what Congress and the President's administration have done to respond to COVID-19. And I think it's been extraordinary how Congress has come together and worked with the administration to help families, to help our communities, to help small businesses weather the economic impact, the economic uncertainty. I think one of the most successful parts of the CARES Act, if you will, was the Paycheck Protection Program, which helped many small businesses, job creators, get through a time that was a severe challenge to their business. Some lost all of their revenue. But with the release of public data earlier this month, we now know that has helped support and preserve over 100,000 jobs right here in our congressional district alone in PA 11. So think about that. That's 100,000 individuals that are providing for themselves and for their families. So again, significant impact, the PPP program. We also, as you probably know, provided direct payments to millions of Americans. And we provided funds to counties to provide a local response as well. York County, both York and Lancaster, are putting their federal funding to good use. I'm really proud of the local leadership of the county commissioners in both of our counties, in York and Lancaster County. York County specifically just announced the creation of a small business and nonprofit support grant program. So if you total up some of the funding streams assisting our schools, K through 12 schools, our institutions of higher education, our hospitals, healthcare workers, the Paycheck Protection Program, it's over $1 billion of federal aid that has flowed through our congressional district to provide that kind of assistance. And of course, as we're working to defeat the virus, we're also working to recover. We do know that this is going to be here a little while, but we are fighting it, and we can see light at the end of the tunnel. But as we continue in that recovery, we need to support those who may still be struggling. So negotiations are ongoing in Washington in terms of what the next phase of that legislation may look like. So that's just a brief update. I'm happy to take any questions on that topic or any other for that matter. So again, we'll get to your questions. If you want to be put in the queue to ask a question, just press *3 on your telephone. You can do that right now. So let's go to our first question. We have Marion Andrews from New Freedom. Are you there? There we go. Are you there, Marion?
Inga, I-N-G-A.
Oh, I'm sorry. Say that again. I took a little bit.
I go by my first name, Inga, I-N-G-A.
Oh, Inga. Well, sorry about that. How are you today?
That's fine. I'm super good.
Good.
You got my question, right? My thing is people are following the guidelines. I know in our borough, I'm a councilwoman, they wear their masks, they follow all the guidelines. But I we have a bar, it's a wrestling bar, people gather. And,
sure.
And I'm saying to myself, you see, they have their masks, they go in, they respect the spacing and everything like that. But they push a table, and then there are 2 chairs that you sit in and everything. And you have to eat. You have to have food
right.
in order to have a glass of wine. I'm not a drunkard or anything. You know what I mean? Because
sure.
It gets you out of the house, and you get to socialize with people that ordinarily, you don't see because of this shut-in situation. And I really think, now what is the difference? Why can't someone sit there and have a glass of wine, across the bar with a mask on, talk to some of the people that you haven't seen, and
Right.
it doesn't make sense. What is the difference with that or sitting there with your mask off and eating food? That is.
Yeah.
So my question is, why can't the bar serve a glass of wine to people, or an after-dinner drink without the food? That is my question.
Yeah, thanks, Inga, and let me just thank you for your work in Freedom, New Freedom, as a councilwoman there, and it's a great place. It's a
yes,
really,
it is. We're
again,
growing. We're
yep.
paying attention. We're doing everything correct.
I know.
Our meetings and everything. But I think you ought to be able to go to your local restaurant and just chat, have a glass of wine and chat to the. It makes no difference if you're eating or if you're just having a glass of wine.
So I want to address that, and then we have a lot of other people on the call. So thank you. I appreciate you calling in. I couldn't agree with you more on this, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I do. By the way,
I've experienced the same thing, and unfortunately, this decision is made entirely by Governor Wolf.
Our governor.
He is making those decisions unilaterally. He has unprecedented power that affects the lives of every individual in Pennsylvania and affects every business in Pennsylvania, and particularly the restaurants. And I've been pushing, as I mentioned earlier in the call, at the beginning of April, we were projecting that the cases were going to go way up, and the reason that we needed to close down portions of the economy, we thought at that time, was to flatten the curve. And what we meant by that is we didn't want our hospital system to become overwhelmed. And so it was important to slow the spread. That was the whole reason. And people were willing to accept that, including myself, because we thought that it was necessary, A, and B, we thought it was going to be short-lived. Remember, at that time, we thought it'd be a few weeks. And the interesting thing was, within a few weeks of beginning of April, we realized that what we were doing was working, and perhaps the projections, the models were just wrong, and we never saw that spike up in York and Lancaster counties.
That's right.
So we never even got close to the point of the hospital systems being overwhelmed. So from mid-April on, my position was we can reopen safely. We should. We know the impact to families. We know the impact to businesses of staying closed down. And we could reopen safely because people here are willing to follow the guidelines and do what you said. You go to the restaurant, wear a mask. And so it's been really, really frustrating to me to see one individual, the governor, make those kind of unilateral decisions, unprecedented power, without working with local officials. And as I said,
that's what's bothering me, because he's not working with local officials. It bothers me.
Well, not only that, he's not working with the legislature, and
that's correct.
Has been not very transparent about how he's making the decisions. And frankly, I think we got to base this on the data. And the data showed it wasn't as bad as we thought initially. Not bad. I'm not saying it's not there and it's not bad, because we haven't faced anything like this before. But we could continue to operate. When we went to his green, then I was happy. But then to go back to 25% capacity at restaurants and provide
a restaurant can't stand alive. It can't stay alive.
Institute that requirement that you just described, where you have to have food with it. That made no sense for our areas. We're not seeing a spike going up, and it's just going to kill restaurants and bars.
Yes,
so
it is.
I agree with you.
I'm looking at our little restaurants in our little town, and it's not just us, because I've experienced it in others too. And I'm saying, how dare a governor, without going to advisors, take it upon himself to do that? It is not right.
I agree, Inga. Thank you for calling in.
And thank you for taking
up.
my call. And by the way, these town halls are absolutely wonderful. I'm glad
wonderful.
you're having them.
Well, I'm really glad we had the opportunity to talk. I look forward to seeing you in person sometime soon.
Yes.
So I appreciate talking with you. We have a lot of other people, so I'm going to move on to the next question. But the only thing I want to say, Inga, is keep speaking up about that. I think it is important for the governor to hear local officials particularly, but the public as well. And I've had so much input from restaurant owners and businesses and everyone else about how tough this is and whether they're worried. People have poured their lives into their businesses and they're worried about whether they can continue. And honestly, the federal government has helped by essentially providing a lifeline to these businesses, but the most important thing we can do is allow things to stay open and open entirely. And we can do it, and that's what I think the governor should be doing right now. So it was great talking with you. Thank you. Let's go to our next caller. Is it Jay from Redline? Are you there, Jay?
Me.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, very good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Oh, thanks for the opportunity to speak with you this afternoon.
Sure. What's on your mind?
So, my daughter recently graduated from Harrisburg Area Community College as a dental hygienist and got a great job in Hanover, Pennsylvania as a dental hygienist. And then, of course,
Great.
The pandemic hit and she was unemployed for several months. And during the course of the 3 months that she was off, she applied for the pandemic unemployment assistance, and nothing ever came through. And we suggested that she write emails and telephone calls and even snail mail, and we never got a response. And she went back to work now, and she can't spend time at work calling this line, but it just seems that this is a repeated story for many people where they didn't hear anything, and it's been months and there's no response. So I'm just wondering, who can we contact, or is there somewhere, a resource that we can go to reach out to somebody and find a status?
Absolutely, and I don't know if you've done this, but the unemployment is run through the state, even the federal portion of the unemployment, and so contact your state representative.
Already done that.
Oh, you've already done that, and they haven't been able to push it through?
Yeah, they gave us the same information that we've been contacting, so it's been frustrating.
I'm sorry to hear that. That is frustrating for me to hear as well. But first of all, congrats on your daughter getting back to her job. That's exciting. I know how that feels. My daughter just graduated from college as well. Her plans were disrupted because of COVID, and she's still looking at this point. But a lot of people are in that situation. So I'm really glad to hear that your daughter is back at work. The only thing I can say, Jay, and I wish I had a better answer, but they will get to this. I mean, if you think about it, they have been completely overwhelmed.
Sure.
And then at the same time have had to set up the federal system of that extra dollars from the federal for unemployment. Right. And so I've heard a lot of horror stories. I hate to hear it. You're doing the right thing by contacting your state rep. I would continue to stay in touch with them and the unemployment office, and hopefully you'll get a resolution soon. That's about all I can tell you. You'll get it. I'm sure you will. And I'm sorry that you have to work so hard to access it, but that'd be my best advice. Continue to. I think that if you're in Redline, that would probably be Representative Jones. Stay in touch with his office, or maybe you're doing it through Hanover, which would be Representative Kate Klunk.
Yeah.
You could also call Senator Kristen Phillips Hill. Would be another avenue. That's another state. She's state senate. And call her office, and I'm sure they'd be glad to try to push any buttons they can as well.
Great.
So, well, thank you, and I really, really hope that that works out soon for you.
Well, thank you, and I'll use your name as a little reference, maybe a little leverage.
Of course, happy to do that. And if it were a federal issue, we'd be trying to help as well. And in fact, if you just don't get anywhere, call us and we can try. But we've found that on the state issues, the state reps generally can get results faster and better results.
Sure.
Whereas if it's any federal issue, you can call us at any time, and we're always happy to help. But we're able to, as legislators, we can't change the law for a specific situation, but what we can do sometimes is help to ensure that the federal bureaucracy is working and get attention to you and get something resolved. So we've been able to help thousands of people who've been having trouble with issues. And some of the things like we might work on would be like IRS, tax refunds, veteran care or something like that, their Social Security. Those are the kind of issues that, any federal issue, we're happy to help. And the state folks feel the same way. And I'm sure they're going to be doing what they can to help. So good talking with you, Jay. Thanks so much. Yep, you bet.
Good evening. Bye.
Let's go to Carl from York. Are you there, Carl?
Yes, I am.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I've been trying to get a hold of you for I don't know how long. Back in 2001, they gave me Social Security disability. Me and my wife were getting SSI together, and when they put me on Social Security disability, they cut her way down to $22. And she's got a lot of health problems. She got fibromyalgia all through her body, arthritis, and she fell last year and had an operation done to her shoulder, had to put a new ball in. She still can't do anything, and she's and I've been trying to get her money back where she has her money and I have mine, but they every time I call SSI, they said we're a couple, we're not. Her health problems have to do with it.
Well, Carl, and I'm sorry that you've had trouble reaching us. We have an office in Redline, and we have one in Hanover, and one in Lancaster as well, and have people dedicated to helping in a situation like yours. We now have your number, so I'm going to have someone call you tomorrow, and we'll dig into the specifics of it. And if there's any way we can help, we absolutely will do that. We'll make sure that it gets resolved in the best way possible and as quickly as possible.
Yeah,
so if that's okay, we'll do that. We'll give you a call.
Because right now it's just hard for me because by the time I pay all my bills and it's nothing, we pay our bills, we're broke, and she can't buy nothing, no clothes, nothing for herself. And I've been trying to get lawyers to help me. I've been trying everything, and I just couldn't get nowhere. And I voted for you in election time. I figured, well, you sound like a good man because I saw when you and I voted for you. And I was trying to get a hold of your office. I was trying to get a hold of you, and they said, well, we can't connect you to Smucker because he's down in Washington. I said, well, okay, I'll just talk to you. And then I talked to a lady, and she said there's nothing she can do. And we've just been struggling.
But then it's hard for me to speak to your specific situation other than to say, I'm sorry you're in the situation you're in. That's got to be tough to work with. And if we had someone look at it, there must be some issue there that we're not aware of now.
She has health problems. They said we're a couple. Well, couple told me if you got health problems, don't cut her off because of her health problems. You know what I'm saying?
What I can guarantee you is this: we will do everything we can to get everything that's possible for you within the law.
Okay.
Like I said, we can't change the law.
No.
And without we just don't have time in this call to get into specifics. But we're going to pull up the conversations we've had before. We'll do that tomorrow morning, and then give you a call and at least provide information about where we stand on it. So thanks, Carl, and I'm sorry that we haven't been able to get that resolved for you, but hopefully we can do so soon. Let's go to Paul from New Freedom. It's New Freedom Night. How are you?
Hi, Mr. Smucker. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I don't know if you saw my question, but I'm calling about, our economy's taken a major hit with this lockdown. And there are stimulus checks being passed around. Yeah. Pelosi got money for the Kennedy Center, which was ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And, money's being spread around, but I don't hear anything about seniors and Social Security. And here's my point. The economy, there's a formula that when the economy's doing well, your Social Security check will increase. And when the economy does bad, they will take money from your check. All through the Obama administration after I retired, no increase in Social Security. Trump comes along and I get $100 a month, and I'm happy. Mm-hmm. What's being done to protect seniors for 2021 for a hit against their paycheck? Is there anything being done?
Well, there's an index based on inflation. It's an index that Social Security is pegged to. And are you saying you're concerned that the Social Security amount will decrease?
Decrease because the economy is doing bad. There's some formula in figuring out what you get from Social Security when the economy does well.
Well, yeah, it's based on
more money.
price.
When the economy does bad, they subtract money. I had money subtracted one year.
Okay, I mean it's based on a price index. So I don't expect that it will go down. But I'm going to take a look at it. Now that you mention this, I'm going to take a look at it.
I hope you're right, but I don't feel that way because we've taken a major hit. I mean, yeah, it came up good, but for what we've lost, is it enough to overcome a loss in a senior's paycheck?
I'm going to check it out.
I mean, if we can give millions to the Kennedy Center, they ought to think about people, not just some.
I'm sorry, I cut you off there before I intended to, but yes, I agree with you. Every stimulus package should be about ensuring that the dollars are targeted to help individuals, families, and businesses to get through this, and to ensure that we are doing everything we can to find treatments and to find vaccines. That's what these packages should go for. And so I couldn't agree with you more on that. I'm going to check into the Social Security. I would not expect, be very surprised if we're going to see a decline, but what I don't know is what kind of provisions are within that formula to prevent a decline like that from occurring. This is sort of an unprecedented time. So I'm glad you brought it to my attention. We're going to check into that, and we'll be happy to get back with you. We have your number, so we'll get back with you about what we find. So appreciate the call. Let's go to Billy from Fawn Grove. Are you there?
I'm Bill Blankenship.
Hi, Bill. How you doing?
I'll be real quick. I won't be long. The only thing I have to say is I'm just concerned with the drop from 600 to 200, if that's what's going to happen in that unemployment. I think, even though I agree with everything Donald Trump has done.
So let's talk through that a little bit, because I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to be sure that everyone on the call understands what we're talking about there, and then I'd like to get your perspective. The state unemployment system, the program that is in place, that has been in place even before the pandemic, is still there. And the maximum, I think, that an individual can get from unemployment per week is $571, I think. $571, which would be just over, between $14 and $14.50 per hour. So that's there. That will continue to be there for anyone who is not able to go to work because they've lost their job for some reason. What the stimulus bill did was added on top of that an additional $600, which is $15 an hour. So close to $30 an hour max per individual who are on unemployment. It depends, of course, that state portion depends on what someone was earning before they got laid off, but the federal portion not. So what the result was there, that a lot of people on unemployment got more, it's about 80%, got more than when they were working. And so what I've been hearing from people, from business owners, is when they call people to come back, they say, well, why would you call me back? I'm making more on unemployment. And honestly, I think we should help people who aren't able to work, but I don't think we should incentivize people to stay home. And so what I'd like to see is, when you lose a job because of COVID, you should be able to we should make up the income that you lost, and it should be topped out of what you were earning before you left. I'm just not sure that it makes good sense to pay up to $30 per hour to someone who was not earning that before they lost their job. So that's why we're trying to figure out a different system there. And again, we want to make sure that people who need it, who can't go to work because they've lost their job, not people who choose not to go. Like, if there's a job available, we want you to go back to work. But if you've lost your job, we want to ensure that your wages are covered. But I'm concerned about paying up to $30 an hour. So is that how you understood it, or how do you feel after hearing that?
I clearly understand, and there's a lot of merit to that. But I was just saying, from 6 to 2, maybe they should graduate it a little bit, maybe 4, maybe 3, and work it down. That's all.
I just think it should be capped. I think somehow it should be capped at what a person was making when they were working.
Well, I just want to say that. I just want to say I came out of the United States Navy in 1970. Right?
Thank you for your service.
Great. It was a great time. I was in Southeast Asia, so it was a blast. But what I'm saying is, I joined the union. I've been a union member, card-carrying member. I've paid my dues for going on 50 years. I've been a business agent. I've been an ET board and a delegate. And I voted the way the union voted until Ronald Reagan came in. And after Ronald Reagan came in, I voted Republican ever since. So just putting that up there, even though I worked with the unions, I love the union. It's common sense. And Pelosi and Schumer and Adler, they have absolutely no common sense. So I wish you could figure out how to get them out of there.
Thanks, Bill. I really appreciate talking with you. And it was amazing. We saw a lot of that during President Trump's. You talked about going back to Reagan, but where a lot of the rank and file union members, often going against their leadership, voted for the president. And they did that because they wanted someone who really understood what has been happening to American workers as jobs have gone overseas for decades. Towns have been hollowed out. Businesses have left the country. And the president was the first one who really was kind of recognized that and was willing to do some tough negotiating and change our with other countries, negotiating with other countries, and then also change our tax structure. Like, we literally incentivize through our tax structure companies going overseas, creating jobs there. I mean, how ridiculous is that? And those policies had been in place for a long time. And union members and American workers felt that, understood that families really hadn't seen any kind of increases in wages for a long, long time. And we changed that pretty quickly with a tax package that not only put more money back in people's pockets, but really created a booming economy and incentivized businesses to create jobs here. And so we were seeing a revolution in manufacturing and everything up until COVID hit, and then of course that changed everything. But I think what's going to be really important coming out of this is that we go back. We know what was the strongest economy in decades, and we continue along that line using those principles. And the principles were more money in people's pockets, create a tax structure that allows businesses to compete, that encourages them to create jobs here rather than overseas, and less regulation. Give businesses confidence that if they invest and create jobs, they can grow their companies without too much government intrusion. Basically, getting government off our backs. It worked, and as we look to rebuild our economy and restore that opportunity for families to achieve the American dream, that's the formula that we know works. And so I really appreciate your perspective. Thanks for your service, by the way. We appreciate your time in the Navy. It was really great to talk with you. Let's see. Our next caller is Holly from Hanover. Are you there?
I'm here. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. And it says here you're on the township board. Which township?
West Mannheim on the zoning hearing.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah.
Okay.
I served on the planning commission in West Lampeter Township in Lancaster County, and
okay.
And then was a township supervisor for a while as well. So
okay.
It's a great experience.
I will make this real quickly, my points. Although we are well beyond retirement and our kids are grown, we have many relatives, friends, and neighbors that are concerned about the schools not opening, not only with their kids not getting educated, but also with the fact of babysitters, how are they going to go back to jobs, how are they going to schedule the kids, and so forth. One of my observations was this: why can't there be money invested on hiring retired nurses or part-time nurses to be at the schools and be in classrooms to monitor the kids' health each and every day, and the same way on the bus? It would seem to me that not only could they monitor to make sure that the health guidelines are in check, but they could also be checking temperatures and so forth. The second thing I want to point out is I want to make sure that this governor will never put in place about defunding police. I have a good reason for that as a family member. And thirdly, people need to wake up that with all the veterans and current people who have lived and died serving this country, we do not want this country to be handed over to socialism or communism.
Holly, I couldn't agree with you more. This isn't a political call, but you know as well as I that there is a lot at stake. We're at sort of I think an inflection point in the country about what direction we want to go. I have been absolutely amazed that we have self-described socialists who are serving in Congress and who really want a very different economic system than free enterprise, which we know has built the country, greatest country in the world, but has helped more people, lifted more people, out of poverty than at any other time in human history. I mean, America has been, it's an exceptional nation and has been exceptional because of the principles it was founded on and because of the economic system. And there are people who want to. And yes, we were never perfect. We all know that. And we know that some of those freedoms initially didn't apply to everyone. And I think that's something that we are coming to grips with and have been gradually changing over time. But we can't lose sight of the fact that the United States of America is an example, has been an example to the rest of the world of what freedom does and how it helps people. And so there's so much at stake in this upcoming election. I see it every day. I see the agenda that people have that I just simply disagree with, and I think goes against our principles. You brought up a couple things. I agree with you on the defund the police. I've talked to through all this thing. Of course, we were all horrified by what we saw with George Floyd. Every police officer, every police chief that I've talked to felt the same way. And I've talked to many of our local police departments and chiefs, and they're all doing their own sort of soul searching within their department to think about what policies they can put in place to ensure that they are addressing every situation in the best way possible, that they're providing for the protection of their citizens while respecting individual citizens, and they're looking at all their protocol and how they operate. I could not find one police department in our area who uses chokeholds as a part of their procedures. But they were horrified by what we saw there as well. But boy, they are there to protect us. We need the police, and this idea of defunding the police it might be the dumbest idea I've heard in a long time. I mean, it's crazy. One of the first responsibilities of our government, local government, county government, state and federal, is to ensure the protection of lives and the protection of property, and to ensure that our streets are safe. I mean, that's a primary function of government, and I just fear that people have lost sight of that. It's just unbelievable to me that that's the case. You mentioned veterans. I agree. We owe a debt to everyone who sacrificed. Many of them, the ultimate sacrifice, dying for the freedoms that we enjoy every day, and so we cannot lose sight of that. I like your idea on schools. I'm pleased that I think the next CARES package, at least the way it looks now, will include significant dollars for schools. I forget the total amount. That's still changing anyway, but it's going to be significant dollars going to every school district across the country to ensure that they can open safely. I think it's important that schools open. I know there's risk involved. I know every school board member, every superintendent, every administrator at a school, every teacher is going to have to. These aren't easy decisions and tough choices. There's no easy choice here, but we know there's going to be a risk with opening, but there's also a significant impact and risk of staying closed, with the impact it has on students who really need that in-person learning to help them advance and learn. There was a study recently by the American Pediatric Association talking about the long-term damaging impact if students lose an entire year of education. Now, they're trying online. Many schools, I think schools in our area have responded very, very well to that, but it just doesn't. There's been other studies that show that online the kids just aren't getting the full experience and the full learning that they need. So we can open safely. We've learned enough about the virus. There's going to be federal dollars to help to do that. There's going to be federal guidelines to help do that. So that'd be my message: is we got to find a way to do it. And I think most school districts here are moving in that direction, and I'm really, really glad to see that. There will be those extra dollars. I think could be used, for personal protective equipment, for changes that have to be made to the classroom, plexiglass or whatever it might be. But that's a good idea to provide for nurses. Certainly, it would be used for thermometers to do temperature checks and screening and things of that sort, and you're going to need personnel to do that. So I'm going to check into that idea and just ensure that a school district that is getting additional dollars from the federal government or from the state, because the state has a lot of dollars, Pennsylvania has a lot of dollars that can go to schools as well. So that we ought to provide a lot of flexibility to schools to be able to make those decisions, and if they want to hire retired nurses or part-time nurses, I think that's a great idea. It could help to ensure that we can open schools safely. Let's go to from Redline. Is it Naomi?
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
What's on your mind?
Well, my biggest thing is with us sending our kids back to school.
Yes.
I mean, I know.
Can I ask how old your kids are?
My daughter's in high school.
Okay, I have a son who's going to be a senior in high school. So,
yes, my daughter's going to be a senior too. And
yeah.
That is my biggest problem is with the high schools where they're constantly moving them from classroom to classroom.
Right.
How can they do that safely when we know COVID can live on surfaces for so long, for a period of time? Because, like, with my daughter, she has a weakened immune system from being on certain medications, and she's got some issues. And we try, the cyber thing just did not work for us. We live very far out in the middle of nowhere, so we don't have internet. They won't we can't even get cable. We live that far out.
Oh, wow.
So it made school very hard to do for us. So if we go back and we get a bunch of people that get it and they have to close school again, because last year, even before the pandemic hit, we had teachers out and they couldn't even get substitutes then. So they were shoving the kids all into the cafeteria, you know.
Yeah, so I hear the concern, and I appreciate that. Just a couple comments. I understand the concern for your daughter. As I said, my son is going back, and we share those concerns, and none of these are easy decisions, but it can be done, I think, safely. Washing hands, wearing a mask when you're not able to socially distance, and socially distancing has stopped. We know that is effective in stopping the spread. So it's going to mean classrooms will need to be changed. Most schools still are doing some classes online when it's easy to do that. Some schools are looking at staggering class. Like there's all sorts of different strategies to ensure that kids can socially distance. And then every school that I know of that I've talked to is also allowing parents to have other options for their kids. We were asked at my school, for instance, whether we preferred in-class learning or whether we wanted to continue with learning at home. And I know some parents are making that decision to do that. So it's really going to be individual choice, and then it's going to be up to each school as to how they do that. The internet is, that's tough. This has, in some ways, the COVID has created this kind of divide where some people are still able to learn, some students are still able to learn when they have access, but in rural areas like where you live that don't have high-speed internet, that's very, very difficult to do. And so it has, I think, further sort of underscored the problem that we know exists and have known, and we've been trying to find solutions to ensure that every household in every community, rural or not, can have access to high-speed internet. I know Comcast, I assume you probably talked to them already. Verizon, you should be talking to those and see if there's any way to get service out. I know some schools in our or some districts in our area have been really creative with it and have even taken buses out with internet connections to allow students to access for the time that they're there. But we are prioritizing this, particularly the Republican conference, for the rest of this year during COVID, and want dollars to go, the next stimulus package. But we believe that dollars should specifically go to expanding out and building out a high-speed internet, particularly in rural areas. It's important. It's as I said, created in a very, very different way of experiencing this from a family like yours that doesn't have access to someone that does. And so we have to work on solving that. And I can tell you that we're fully aware and are pushing for dollars for high-speed internet there. So hopefully that makes a difference for you. But good luck to your daughter, whatever you decide to do. I know it's coming up fast. My son's ready to go back, I'll tell you that. He's excited to go back, and he understands that it's going to be a little different. But I think kids need to be back in the classroom if at all possible. So thank you. Let's go to Vera from Stewartstown. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Vera.
My problem is with the IRS. I have submitted a paper tax form February the 2nd, and I still have not received my refund.
You went online to their site? And
I went on and I accessed their website about, if your Social Security number comes up, they tell you what stage it's in.
Yeah.
And I have not even received an acknowledgement that they have it. And the fact that there's a message on there, don't call, and there's a message on there, don't resubmit, but you can't get any information.
Yeah, that's frustrating. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't know that I have a great answer for you. What I can tell you is you're going to get it. We know that the IRS, they have, I don't know how many hundreds of millions already. They're probably 80% of the way through or something like that. I'm making up the number, but they have done really an incredible job. Starting first with people who filed taxes, the records. They already had all of their information. In some cases, they even had account information that they could deposit the money in. They started with those and are working their way down. And we've asked everyone. We've had multiple calls every day on this, and we ask everyone to do what you just did, what you just described that you've already done. And then there's not much else that you can do. If this goes a few more weeks and you still haven't done it, haven't received it, then I'd ask that you call back into our office. But whereas we can often check in with agencies and make sure that you're getting the right attention, in this case, they were so overwhelmed that everybody was working to get the dollars out, and we've been the only advice that we could give people is to do what you already said you did. So I know.
I know.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I know plenty of people that have not received theirs yet.
Yeah.
I mean, my sister, my granddaughter, my sister-in-law, and everybody's wondering the same thing, and they can't get any information.
Hang in there, and would you do me a favor and stay in touch with us? We do want to know, and I wish I could snap my fingers and you'd have it tomorrow, but we aren't able to do that in this case. We're never able to do that.
Is there any timeline for when they're going to be
Well, call us in, maybe a few weeks if you didn't have it yet. I'm still confident you're going to get it because we've had a lot of people who had called in, said they did, and then, after some time they get it. Make sure everyone that hasn't received it does what you did. Go online, submit your information. I'm aware of a lot of other people who haven't got it. I think there's still tens of millions who haven't, so you're not alone.
Right. I know.
And as much as it's hard to be patient on, and I get it, but the IRS, they've never done anything like that before.
No, they haven't.
It's been amazing how quickly they've gotten out as many as they did. Doesn't help you, I know.
No, believe me, next year it's e-file for me.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Then they would have the information. But thank you. Good talking with you. Please let us know if you haven't received it in a few weeks, and we'll follow up. All right. I think I'm sorry that I see we still have quite a few people in the queue, and we didn't get to all the questions, but we're at the end of our 60 minutes. I do want to say this. For those of you who are still on, I apologize that we didn't get to you. But if after I hang up, which I'm going to do here in about a minute or two, just stay on the line, leave a voicemail if you would like, and then we'll be glad to get back with you. Myself or a member of my staff will call you in the next few days, and particularly if you have an issue that we can help you on, be sure to stay online. But we're interested in your comments, and apologize we didn't get to it, but just stay on the line. For everyone on the call, I'd like to thank you for joining me tonight. I really do appreciate your time, appreciate your willingness to discuss these issues that are affecting all of us. I encourage you to follow me on social media. You can also sign up for my email updates on my website. So we communicate in a lot of different ways. Call us if you have a question, need assistance in any way, we're always there to help in any way that we can. As I said, my website is smucker.house.gov. We have an office at Red Line in Hanover. You can email us, call us, go onto the website. We really appreciate the opportunity. It's a privilege to serve you and to be your voice in D.C., and so that communication is very, very important. We always look forward to hearing from you. So thank you all for joining us, and I hope you have a really great night. Bye now.